Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is another 2025 regional meta breakdown primer, this time for Atlanta, which is October 4th and 5th. Yeah, we're going to be going over the top meta decks. I did one of these for the Louisville regional, and this one kind of has a lot of the similar elements, but with new cards that came into the meta with TMNT. Just want to make sure you guys are all up to speed. So the purpose of this video is to identify the metagame based on previous events. That would be like the Toronto regional, the UK regional, the OCE regional, and I guess you can kind of include Louisville as well. But yeah, so I got 94 slides, so we're going. This is gonna be a long one, so buckle in. First up, we got deck style Blitz. That includes characters like Pony, Porco, Mikasa 1. Those are decks that do the attempt to overwhelm their rival by playing more attacks than the rival can block. They're primarily 7 hand size characters. Very rarely are they 6s, but they can be. Like, I don't have Godzilla in the Blitz because he's more of a tall, he kind of fits a lot of different genres, but I have him in the tall attacks, so we're not going to use him for the Blitz style because, you know, everyone tries to attack on turn 2 with Godzilla and kill you, so, yep. We're going to go over the strengths first. So the Blitz strengths, number 1, they're faster paced. The kill window is normally turn 3, but can kill you on turn 2 with a great build turn 1 and draw it on turn 2. So that means that they are primarily looking to soften you up a bit, maybe poke you once or twice on turn 2. Maybe you don't block, maybe you don't take, or maybe you don't block, maybe you just eat a little bit of damage or you partial. That just proactives their game plan to turn 3 for that kill window to get closer and closer. Sometimes they can kill you on turn 2. I have seen decks like Pony and Porco kill on turn 2 with like a 5 build, and then they rip like 7 attacks, or they rip 6 attacks, or they rip some pieces to draw more attacks, and they just murder you on turn 2. Next up is card quantity. The deck will have abilities to refill hand as the turn continues. It can be in deck or character, kind of like how Pony just likes to pitch 2 to draw 1, but they usually have, like, you know, Feral Shriek and or Wish Hard, you know, or like, you know, they have like a latent skill to dig, or like Porco likes to just cycle the same card over and over again. Which leads us into card looping. Can replay cards in the card pool or from another zone that have been previously played. So kind of like beast summoning, like in some Pony lists. Also, we do have, you know, Porco likes to loop teaming with the Attack Titan and or Jaw Titan bites over and over again. So it is a way to just, instead of having just 7 cards in their hand, they actually have exponentially more based on how many times they can loop or pull a card from another zone. Now we're going to get into the weaknesses. Card pool disruption. By adding cards to the card pool to increase progressive difficulty. So that's kind of like, there's the new TMNT card. It's the 2/5 that after you full block, you make them stuff a card into their card pool. That's very good. Like an Ares Smiles after a block. Or, you know, you're able to just make sure they have more card, or like, you know, you can do, like, you make them play like a non-attack form into their card pool by increasing their progressive difficulty along the turn. Next up is Breaker. This is probably the most generic one and the most easily applied. The next card played gets a penalty to the control check. So if you Breaker 3, their next check gets -3, and so on and so forth. This is probably the easiest way to disrupt them, but sometimes some characters just draw hot and check hot and it doesn't matter. Sometimes it just doesn't matter and they have the goods and your numbers up. Next up is 3, attack deletion. Removal of the current attack from the card pool. That's using like Cape of No Return, and or I thought I had a graphic there, my bad. A Cape of No Return and or like Decoy Duplicate, even Genkai's Guidance. I believe this is something later I have. It's another style of attack deletion, and I have actual graphics, so I'm sorry about that. I was lazy here, then I got kind of constructive later in the video. So yeah, so it's able to just remove the attack from the card pool, so you don't have to actually deal with it. Damage reduction, reducing the damage of the attack, so you don't need to block, saving cards in hand. So like using Nine Titans for example, or even like back in the day, like earlier this year with recuperation time and gaining health, being able to reduce damage so you only take minimal damage, so you don't have to block, saving cards in hand for when you actually have to block. Next up, Dex type. Stat manipulation. That includes characters like Rodan, Peak Finger, Inasa Yoriashi, and Pike Trickfoot. Because she actually gives -2 speed when something is above printed damage. That's actually a thing. Like, every deck does that now. So Pike actually is positioned pretty well into this meta, which is surprising to me, to be honest, because I totally forgot about her. Characters that manipulate damage and or speed of attacks. This is kind of generic because there's a lot of characters that can manipulate like boost. And so I'm talking like manipulation, and it can go plus or minus in the stat bonus, right? Because we're looking at +2 or -2 speed like on Peak and Pike. And NASA just commits a foundation to get the cost, and Rodan just removes for ± of the block mod, for examples. Strength, number 1, flexible game plan, able to adjust to the rival's game plan and counter it. So this is kind of neat with these characters because they're kind of open-ended. They're not really linear. They're not built one way. You can take them in multiple different design paths in your deck building process. So you could have like you can adjust to what your rival is doing easier than a lot of other deck styles, just because you have like that built-in defense on face. And I think that's another thing too, is a lot of these characters in this stat manipulation category have defense built in on them, on their face. It's baked in, so you don't have to worry about layering your defense as much in your deck as most like aggro decks or like mid-range decks or whatnot. 2, Value Town attack lineup. These decks can play a more generic lineup due to the stat buffs from the characters. So you could play like a 4 high 4 that draws a card because your character will give it 3 speed or 3 damage, or you don't have to worry about something that's maybe lower speeded, has like a lower speed but a high damage threshold, because your character can pump the speed on it. You're not too worried about that speed being blocked, right? They just get they get to play like the good stuff, right? And I think that leads us into our next proactive. Okay, that was a different slide. 3, proactive defensive game plan. The defensive layers begin with the character, allowing you to have more of a varied deck brew. So I'm a big I should do a video on it, but I'm really bad at talking about like layered defense. But I think like having multiple layers of defense in a deck, starting with your character and then like your actions, your foundations, and so on and so forth, is actually paramount right now, because having like a singular layer of defense, like I'm just playing Moment of Normalcy for defense, and then I'm gonna full block everything on whatever, or like having different layers, like having Moment of Normal. Hey, you have your resets, maybe you have some DR, maybe you have some speed reduction in your deck. So that's like 3 layers of defense, opposed to some decks that may only play like, I'm only playing speed reduction, or I'm not playing any resets, or I'm just playing just straight resets or whatnot, right? So having a more layered defensive game plan allows you to be a little more fluid in your deck, and especially if your character has defense on face, that's one layer you don't have to worry about in your deck that you can add for certain tech pieces, like maybe asset hate or action hate or whatnot. It allows you to keeps you a more varied brew, as the kids would say, right? Stat manipulation weaknesses. 1, can struggle early game against more aggressive style decks, blitz style decks. These decks are the nightmares of these stat manipulation decks, because a lot of the times these blitz style decks can get a huge jump on you on turn 2 and then finish you off turn 3, because that's their game plan. So you just need to be able to be proactive in your defense, and that's why these characters are actually very flexible to the point where you have to play defense turn 2 and turn 3, so you can get to that mid-range, get to that late game, so you can win the game. Next up is 2, deck with a heavy committal or stun package. When in doubt, tap them out. A lot of the times, the stat manipulation characters pay a cost, and even then it's still difficult for them to block if they're completely tapped out. That's generically like an offensive tactic, right? Just to completely commit them out. And then they have to block on progressive plus block mod plus whatever they're able to do. Having foundations to commit, great. Having no foundations to commit, bad. So that's something that you want. That's something that a lot of people have taken to heart, like fighting Rodon, is when you can just tap him out completely, and he's just using his ability to remove for minus X speed, but the time that he hits like a +1 or a +1 block mod, he's probably not blocking it because it's going to be like high speed. -1 isn't a whole lot, especially if there's progressive, and it just becomes more difficult for them to block over long strings when you tap them out. This is my favorite one. Overconfidence. Can take advantage if the player heavily relies on just the character and overcommits into you. There are times where players can get a little cocky, where they're like, well, I'm playing this broken character. There's no way I'm going to lose if I just full send and then I use them to defend. Like, I've seen people lose on Rodon because they overcommit, or a defensive deck, and they overcommit into their rival, and then they have no resources to help pass checks or to defend, and they just die, and they're like, well, this character's bad because I blah, 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 blah. Now, you actually have to be mindful when you're playing these characters because they do need their stage to defend. They're not infallible. Some people might think they are, but like Rodon can die if you commit him out. Peak can die if you force her to blow up her entire stage to survive, right? Yeah, it's just if you force them into this really bad position of overcommitting into you and you backswing them, that's the way you kill these guys, right? Is like you make them overcommit and then you backswing. Tall tax. This is the fun one. Everyone loves this one. Includes characters like Godzilla, Smiling Titan, which for some reason no one plays her. Like, she's still very good. Hanj Zoe 1. And Tyrion Darrington. Thank you, MMM, for existing. It's a deck that can capitalize on higher difficulty attacks or large stat increases baked in. One, it's a very linear deck style, easy to pick up and play, and just toss big numbers at people. Strength number 2, ways to mitigate difficulty costs, finds ways to boost checks. This is kind of like City Rampage, or okay, I actually have graphics. Here we go. Like Female Titan Finales Enhanced, spend 1 momentum. This attack gets +3, -3 damage, and it gets next check +2. And everyone's favorite City Rampage. It allows you to get +2 to your checks to play printed difficulty 5 or higher attacks. Well, I didn't. This one's weird. Okay, I wasn't supposed to have this in here, but overwhelming defenses with high base stat attacks, kind of like Colossus Titan attacks, Warhammer Titan attacks, Colossus Titan's destructive power, and Beast Titan attacks. So these are obviously all Titan attacks. All the Titan attacks have way giant stats. So this is what allows you to just go overwhelm some defenses because they can't handle high base numbers. Why is that? That's so weird. It struggles with resets. Setting the attacks back to printed stats makes it more manageable. Moment of Normalcy is obviously the big one. We have Desperate Struggle, which also helps you reset back to printed. And Hans is a character that says commit, return its attack to its printed speed. We can also do attack deletion. Some styles of this deck only play 1 attack a turn until late game. So attack deleting is super huge, and some examples of that are Cape of No Return, Decoy Duplicate, and Genkai's Guidance. See, it came up, finally. 3, the weakness is a linear game plan with telegraphed attacks. Sometimes, though, it's not enough. Sometimes those attacks are just going to smack you and you're going to die, even though you know it's coming. 4. This one has a lot of weaknesses, but for some reason, everyone's scared of Godzilla. It's crazy. I am. I hate that character. 4, can struggle versus control. If the rival can stabilize and build a defense, it could be a struggle to win against it. So that means like if you can't, like not like blitz them, but if you can't like tank them really hard on turn 2, and then win on turn 3, you can end up losing because you just don't have enough to get over their wall. I know like sometimes what's really nice about Smiling is that once, like, after you get past that, I can only play one attack per turn. Like zone, like turns 2 through, I'd say it's like 2 through 4. You could slap 2 of those babies down, and then you really are going to pound town and you're killing your rival. Because once you're able to play multiples of these things in a row, it's big booming and it sucks. Combo decks. Some assembly are needed. Some assembly is required. That includes Midoriya on the move and Elder Togoro. You're gonna ask, what about Equipment Heist? That's coming later. This deck consists of a specific kill condition, and the entire deck is around assembling and protecting that kill condition. Strengths. 1. Low attack count. Allows for great build turns in the early game to get set up. So these decks are going to want to build 5 on turn 1 at most. I'd say not most. On average, they would like to build 4 to 5. 6 possibly, depending on the matchup, and then that will allow them to be able to defend on turn 2, and then turn 3 build some more, and then get their kill con engine rolling, right? Like with Midoriya, with him flipping over, and then Elder Togoro getting set up for his big one-hit KO. You have to get a bunch of setup pieces in line before you can actually go on with your kill con. More tech pieces or quality cards I hate that I leave cards up here that are play a more varied style piece, able to play a varied choice of deck pieces to protect the combo due to a low attack count. This means Power of Love that allows you to cancel a cancel, code edits which allows you to cancel a blitz, also drive parry on rival's turn. You can cancel a Hans ability, and then Dr. Jigaki is the most popular one. Weaknesses. Number 1, weakest on turn 2 and 3. Decks that favor a blitz style can get a jump on it before it gets set up, because those are the pivotal turns. Because if their defense is the weakest on turn 2 and sometimes turn 3, depending on how it shakes out their draw, but like you can really get a jump on them if you just aggress into them right away. Could struggle against resets, hand traps, or attack deletes. That includes Moment of Normalcy, Desperate Struggle, Filled with Doubt, and Genkai's Guidance. So those things are like paramount in defending against that, because they play a lower attack count and they usually don't see them right away. Which leads us into the next point. A low attack count may not see the attacks at the right time, or possibly check them while setting up. They could also lose them to cycling, because they may not draw them, because they play like 16, 14 attacks because they want to build this massive stage and get set up. They don't want to be checking attacks or seeing attacks on turn 2 and turn 3. They want to see them on turn 4, turn 5, so they can set up and just OTK you. Combo, Equipment Heist. So, Equipment Heist and Massive Mutant Machine equals you're dead. These includes characters like Devil Jin, Overhaul, and Hawks. I know these are the 3 most popular ones. Hanzoe 2 can do it as well by building it face down and then unflipping it with Unflip Kick or Following Heel Strike for those who don't know code names. These are probably the 3 easiest way to play MMM without really trying. It's incredibly potent when set up, high scaling damage and speed, and once online you can find all your massive mutant machines. It's true, I've seen it happen. 2, it can easily set up the combo via cheap attacks or character abilities. Overhaul can build it face down, and then he can unflip it using Falling Heel Strike. Devil Jin can just play the Equipment Heist, play an attack, add an attack from his discard pile, and then play another attack. He only needs 2 attacks and the Equipment Heist to get rolling. It's very, very low cost. And Hawk's Feather. Hawks can play Equipment Heist, Feather Storm, and then say, hey man, my feathers don't count, and then he can just play 2 more feathers, and he's there. He's met the combo requirement. Weaknesses. Can fall apart if you do not have Equipment Heist and you don't have a plan B. So you don't have a backup plan. Like, I think Devil Jin and Overhaul may have a better plan B if they don't see Massive Mutant Machine because their offenses are very potent. I think Hawks may struggle a bit, but that remains to be seen. I'm not a big Hawks guy. I believe Ryan Levine will probably post in the comments below that I'm mad and I'm crazy. 2, it needs to protect the combo from disruption, and those symbols may not have it. Like cards like Hacker Extraordinaire can flip it. Devastating Loss can also destroy it. And Yoko Karama can just yeet the action when they play it. Also, Titanstone Knuckles, those can unblock. If you're able to block a move or your rival blocks one of your moves, you can commit it to destroy the asset. And the one that everyone hates to fight against, backup style. This includes Han Zoe 1, Annie Lionheart Awakened, and Zeke Yeager Warchief, and Zeke Yeager 1 from AOT 2. I just don't know his title. The deck uses backups to further the game plan either through check boosts or stat buffs. Strengths, 9 Titans. What more can I say, man? It is in some decks untargetable. In all decks, it is premier damage reduction and attack doubling. It's very good. It's just straight up bonkers. 2, every attack can be a finisher, either with 9 Titans or big stat moves, big stated moves with backups. 3, a very strong defensive package with attack ceiling and damage reduction. That includes like Filled with Doubt, and 9 Titans, and Titans Under Orders, and the like. But its weaknesses are there. It struggles to block at times due to low foundation count. The deck mix can hurt turn 1 builds. I think really the only, sure, Hanj can use one, and Annie can also use them to help pass checks. Zeke Yeager Warchief gets a boost from having backups +1. But it doesn't mean they're infallible and they are overwhelming defensively. They can struggle into decks that attack a lot. 2, it's slow to get started. Many of them are mid to late game plans. Not I would, excuse me, get a drink of water. I believe Annie may be the only one who can really aggress into you on turn 2 because she wants to. She's the more aggressive backup deck. Excuse me. But like Hanj and Zeke, very rarely will they pop off on turn 2. Maybe with a good build and they get like a couple, they got a Rock Barrage and then a Beast Titan attacks and yada yada yada. But like everything has to fall into place, right? Everyone's favorite deck style, Rogue. That includes King Ghidorah, Allura Vysoren. She also could have gone in the backups deck too, by the way. Or a combo deck. Her deck's wild and super fun. Mikasa Ackerman, his Hero's Hope. And Ryu World Warrior. He still isn't into that #1 contender slot yet. Rogue decks are typically an unknown character or are not widely played by the vast majority. Usually takes an event by surprise. The strengths of a Rogue deck. Unknown into the current meta. Normally brand new or not very popular to play characters. So back in Louisville, we had the Street Fighter characters were legal and they were out. Were they untested? Were people testing against them with their decks going into Louisville? Probably not. I don't think a lot of people probably took them actually serious or thought that no one would play them anyways. It's the same thing with the turtle cards that just came out, and then the last set of regionals. Those were considered, I'd say, rogue, the Raphael deck that topped the OC. That's a rogue deck. That's not a known quantity. He isn't a popular. He's a popular turtle, of course. He's my favorite. But I would say anything that's not in the top 10. I almost called anything that's not a meta, a top contender deck, a rogue deck, right? We have our meta decks. I guess anything that's not. That's a good question. Is anything not a meta deck considered a rogue deck because it's not a meta deck? Let me know in the comments below if you made it this far into the video. 2, players are not prepared for it due to it not being a meta staple, which was just the comment I just made. So a lot of people just there's not enough time to prep for events. Nobody has enough time to play through every matchup because you would need to have to play through every matchup over 100 times to get good data on it, and there's just not enough time. And if someone says they do, they're lying, because there's just not. Because we're all adults, we all have jobs, we all have school, we all have real life responsibilities. There's just no way you can. That's wild if you do. But again, be careful of burnout. But yeah, so there's not enough time to prep for an event to throw your deck into everything. Which leads me into the weakness. Sometimes they're usually untested in the meta. Sometimes the matchups are more theory crafted than actual reps, because again, you just can't play against everything. And like, you think this matchup's going to go one way, but it really goes another way, because this player plays it differently than this player, and X, Y, and Z. There's too many variables. Number 2, matchups can be one-sided. Wide variance with matchups due to focusing on one specific. So most rogue decks really vary. They really focus their deck archetype, or like their what meta matchup they're focusing on. Like you could play like an Animus Shot deck is really focused on just beating every backup deck, right? Your deck is ready to go. Let's say you have Aaron Death or something. You can play Devastating Shot. You can play Animus Devastating, the one that Sasha dies, the backup killer. You also have Fire somehow, and you can just play. You just pack your deck full of backup stuff. Or your side, it's where a lot of sideboard pieces go, right? But you play them in main board because you're like, you saw the Louisville results. Everyone's going to be playing Zeke Yeager and Hanj and all this stuff, and you're just going to nuke every backup you see, and you may not see it. Your one matchup, you may fight like a Godzilla round 1, and they're not playing backups, and you just get destroyed because your deck is not 50-50 into the field. It's more 80-20 into one deck, but it's 20-80 into the rest of the field, right? Like, I don't think anyone builds their deck to be that, but like, you really want to be 50-50 against the field. So like, but focusing in, like, I think it's where the sideboard comes in the most, is where that's where you can focus in on your one matchup. Like, your deck is weak to backups, so you're going to sideboard everything that you can to beat backups, right? Or your deck is weak to asset decks, so you're playing all the asset hate you can. So on and so forth. And the biggest question, how do you prepare for an event like this? It's just get reps, man. Like, get comfortable with your deck. Make sure your deck is finalized. You don't want to be changing your deck 2 days, a day before. You don't want to change your cards. You want to be able to get enough games in with your finalized deck list before the event, so you are prepared to just go. And you could try to get a wide various like data points across all the matchups, but like, there's just, like I said, not enough time. So you really just want to try to get your deck 50-50 against the field, and that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. So yeah, it's been about a half an hour, so that's it, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you stayed this long, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit those bells for notifications. Drop a note in the video below in the comment section. Let me know if you like these videos. If you want me to do more of them, I'll try to do the one before Buffalo, because we'll have Guilty Gear, and that will be great and awesome. So I tried just to stick to the NA events. I missed Toronto because I was lazy, because not much had changed other than, I think, Turtles. Yeah, and I don't know, Hang Ten Deku, I guess. But again, thanks for watching, sticking it out with me for this long video. Stay tuned for more content, and until the next video, take care.